Scout, but more importantly, like you on a scouting year. In fact, my 12-year-old son was here 2 weeks ago. This weekend at Lost Pines Camp, and while he was here, I was sitting at home, just thrilled with one. And second, I was thinking about all memories I made at summer camp 30 plus years ago. I went to summer camp at the Adirondacks in upstate New York, so my temperatures were just slightly different from the ones you're experiencing here this week, but nevertheless, those were memories that I still have to this day, and it got me really excited knowing that he was making the same memories that she gave me excited too about their children. But in seriousness, I want to welcome you to Lost Pines, and I want to thank you for choosing Lost Pines as your summer camp destination. We realize in the council that you probably have plenty of summer camps to choose from, and we're grateful that you chose ours. I also want to thank you for doing what you do, for taking time to be here, for taking vacation time in the summer to be here, serving our youth, our students in South Texas. The mission of scouting, our program really exists for one reason, and that reason is to prepare young people to make ethical, moral choices over the course of their lifetimes by instilling in them values of the Scout Code and Scout Law. It boils down to religion. It boils down to developing leaders. And all of you that are here this week exemplify leadership. And I said here, are setting an example for that. So thank you once again for being here and being here. It's no surprise to any of us that the last 10 years have not been easy on Scout. But with the global pandemic behind us and with the national bankruptcy in our rearview mirror, I'm really pleased to report that scouting is back. Scouting is back. Yes. Just to kind of move that point up, I received an email 4 weeks ago from National, which indicated that for the first time in 24 years, we achieved growth in scouting as a whole. First time since 1999, we achieved growth in scouting. That is something to be proud of. And again, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but without your leadership, none of that would be possible. So I'm going to ask for a couple favors before I leave here, all of you. First, you go home on Saturday. If you had a good time here, which I can't imagine why you wouldn't have, but if you had a good time here, notwithstanding, I'd like you to talk about your experience at Lost Pines with fellow scouters, with your families, with your friends, and perhaps encourage other units in your council to visit our, this is the flagship camp of our council for their summer camp best program next year. Second, this place is a lot like Disney. Something like over there. It really is. And by that I mean there's a lot that goes on here behind the scenes. A lot of coordination, a lot of planning that you all don't see, that your scouts don't see. There's a lot that goes on in the weeks and days and so on here to make this experience for everyone. So when you go back to your campsites tonight, I'd like for you to have Scoutmaster Bennett to remind your scouts of two things. One is to remind them to show some gratitude to our camp staff, to our counselors, to our camp rangers, to our camp hosts, to our camp directive, that goes a long way. That shows the Scout spirit. Support the show that gratitude, I think. The second thing I'd like to ask, is the third favor I have is, it's kind of important to me. We had a Scoutmaster minute tonight. Talk a little bit about what a Scout's experience should be. For most of us, for all of us, it should be a memorable experience. It should be something that we reflect back on years from now, think about with a smile on our faces. But it can take just one incident of harassment, or one incident of bullying, to make this a memorable experience for all of us. To make a Scout who's normally happy unhappy and not want to be a Scout, not want to return to something. So I would ask you to remind your Scouts to turn my word recently, be an upstander or a bystander, to see something happening, stand up, say something, or to walk away from the career and tell an adult. But I want you to remind them to live by the Scout spirit, to be kind, cheerful, help with your fellow Scouts, the leaders. Because I know living by that standard makes a memorable experience for everyone. So that's what I've got today. I appreciate you giving us some time. Obviously, I hope you enjoyed the dinner. Next up is Kuruvila. Kuruvila is our council commissioner. And what's the council?
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, I introduced myself earlier and I said I'm a council commissioner. So I have a question. How many people know what commissioners do?
The commission.
They commission, yes. A commission. And I was thinking by that answer that we don't have many commissioners other than the people who raise their hands already. Would that be correct? Are there any commissioners that I missed in here? Okay, so the commissioners are the volunteers in the, and we are at the council level, the district level, and the unit level. And our responsibility is unit service. We are here to help you make your Scouts have a better experience by giving you resources, by giving you advice, by helping you with your program. That's what our unit commissioners do. Now, I saw some different council. And how many from Capillary Council? A handful here. Alamo Council? Yeah. Other councils, where are you guys from? South Texas? Sam Houston? Okay. Rio Grande Valley. Well, it's awesome because I know all of your commissioners because we're all part of the same NSD. So I know Scott Jones and Debbie Rawlinson. You have some great commissioners, council commissioners on your side. Rio Grande, I think, is Patty. Rio Grande, Patty. So we got some great commissioners in there. But our job is to make your life easier. And if you don't know who your unit commissioner is, you need to ask because that person is going to help your Scouts have a better scouting experience. So that's part of what we do is unit service, but we also do troubleshooting. So when units get crosswise with each other, and I was telling Stacy the other day, she'd go like, how's the fishing world going? Go like, well, if I could just work with Scouts, I would enjoy it a whole lot more. It's okay, and I know there's lawyers here, I know there's some insurance people here, but this is where my life gets complicated in that aspect. So I'm gonna branch out from my favorite topic, which is Scouts, unit service, helping units get better, to my less favorite topics, which also fall under me. And one of them is everybody's favorite topic, membership dues. Everybody know what's happening to membership dues coming up? Are they going up again? It's a rhetorical question. Yes, for Scouts, they are going up by $5 from $75 to $80. For adults, they're going up $15 from $45 to $60. And for merit badge counselors who are not already serving in a unit or district, it's going to be $25. And so you should be asking yourself the question, where does that money go? Any ideas? Where does that $60 go? Yeah, insurance. Somebody said that. It should be clear that $60, none of it stays at the council level. That entire $60 goes to national. And of that $60, more than 75% of it goes to cover for liability insurance. Now, we all have insurance on our car, homes, apartments, whatever. You probably have liability insurance. Could you get liability insurance for you for a full year for $45 to cover you for anything that happens at a scouting event? Anybody think they could do that? The answer should be no. You have no chance of getting that liability insurance for $45. That's what we cover for you. Now, here's the downside. We get no control over that except with one action, having a safe program. Every year we have a safe program without incidents that require that insurance to be used, our rates go down. This last year, our rates actually went down from a insurance perspective, but what they chose to do was get more coverage because lawsuits are only getting bigger, not smaller, so they're covered for more dollars in there. So when you think about the membership fees, and I know people get very angry about the cost of the fees, just know that is for safety. We're doing it from a protection perspective. The merit badge portion, the $25, almost all of that is going for background checks. Merit badge counselors weren't paying for that before. The scouting organization was paying for it, so now they're asking merit badge counselors to pay for it. There is one other thing that's adding a level of complexity that I think we're still kind of getting our hands around, is that it's going to be a rolling dues structure going forward. So if you recharter in January, you've got scouts in January, well, they're just going to pay January for 12 months. But if you have scouts join at JSN in August, they will start in August, and then they will go there. August becomes their anniversary date. You all should be equally puzzled. How are we going to keep track of that? It's a good question. They're working on it, and there's some information coming out from National. We've given them the feedback that we need a better answer on how this is going to be. You know, they talk about, it'll just be like your Netflix subscription. We'll just charge your credit card every month, and we're like, yeah, I don't know about that. So just know that the issue has been raised. And we've asked them for some more explanation. So look for further explanation coming out from all of your councils. The last one I want to leave you with is kind of also like Anooj talked about Scoutmaster Minute. Does anybody know who Albert Fretwell is? Not Christy, put your hand up. Albert Fretwell was, I believe, our third Scout executive. He was a professor at Yale, and he became Scout executive back in the 1920s. And we have an award named after him, and it's a national award awarded at the council level. And what the award is, it recognizes somebody in the teaching profession for living up to the Scout Oath and Scout Law, reflecting Scout spirit. And you know who can nominate people for the Fretwell? Anyone. Could you imagine the power of one of your scouts nominating their teacher, and we'll come to that school and present that teacher with the Fretwell Award? They have to write a little letter or form for it, tell them why that teacher does that. But this is something that I would like you to talk to your scouts about, that if they have a teacher that stands out to them, we could recognize that teacher with the Fretwell Award as somebody who lives up to the Scout Oath and Scout Law. And it's something that just allows the scouts to recognize people that influence them. And I think it could be a powerful message. That's what the commissioners do. We give you a little idea that hopefully you can go back and build your units on. Yes, you got a question?
What does the teacher do?
A little plaque, a brochure. Christy is a Fretwell winner. Would you tell us what we get, Christy?
You're recognized at town level, like the Tony is, as well as 3-star. They're also certificate right at the Fretwell Award. And you get the certificate, you can hang in your office, the costume or something like that. And then you're awarded a medal of honor that you can wear at any formal event. And then your name on the council website.
Yep.
So
No big checks come with this award.
and honestly, it means a lot, especially coming from your scouts. It means a lot to the educator who is recipients. So those little things, educators go a really, really long way.
All right, that was my portion. To wrap us up, John Yates, who's our council executive.
All right, I'm glad. So, had a lot of speakers. I have a few people I want to thank, but I want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you so much for being out here. It's a little warm, right? Last week was a little. Last week of all the weeks here in June and July was a little cooler. Last week, we only had 100 on site last week. We're now back into a full week of summer camp with you here. But we know you've got other options. We also know that your scouts wouldn't be able to be here without you. And I know for a fact that the impact that summer camp week makes in the life of a scout, of any being able to spend some time outdoors here at the scouting program, that program wouldn't be possible without you. So thanks. Now, a couple of people in the audience, I need to make sure I think. If you like the state, if you like the primary. I got two books. PJ's pointing to Richard Stout. Richard, could you just stand for 1 second? Let us thank you. Both of them have been out here almost every week cooking those prime ribs and in that heat. So we appreciate all that they're doing to try to make sure that we have a great meal for you tonight. So thanks. And I think the horseradish sauce, if you liked it, the guy that's responsible for that is Ron Santilli, that guy back there. I would probably gain 100 pounds, folks, any of your troops that cooked any of those desserts on the table. So I want to thank everybody that participated in the dessert. It's hard for me to pass a brownie. That's just almost impossible. Ron, in addition to his role of king of horseradish sauce, also our director of sports service. So he's ultimately responsible for all the fun stuff, right, Ron? So all fun, but camps and properties and advancement and training and all that world, he's the professional that supports the volunteer teams, does that. We appreciate Ron for you being here. PJ has already been introduced as one of the cooks. PJ is our lead ranger for all properties that we have in the Capital Area Council. So how many properties is that, PJ? Seven that you have to worry about. Some that have more facilities on it than others, but there are 7. At least today, right? Okay. And then in the audience, I got the chance to sit next to is Cameron Ward, our ranger here at Lost Pines, who's trying to make sure that you have a good experience here from the property maintenance standpoint. He's been a real asset for the council when he started a little over a year ago, right? Yes, sir. So we've been real blessed to have him. He grew up here. He was our OA service chief, and then fell in love with the property side of it. And we're lucky to have him here as our ranger. I'm really blessed to have. I've already met him, but I think I'm probably the only scout executive that's able to say I come to this. I've been to this is my 10th year. 11th summer camp as scout executive here, and almost every time I'm here on Tuesday night, I'm joined by my volunteer council commissioner and my volunteer council president. I want to thank them for taking the time to be here. Both the ones you just met will gladly tell you they have not been with me all 11 years in those positions. Those jobs are rather similar. But we appreciate all that you're doing and stepping in to help lead the council. I'll talk a little bit about our properties. So for those of you that are outside council, you may be interested in camping at some of our properties other than Lost Pines. And talk a little bit about our vision for those properties, and then get into a couple other topics. So anybody here that was here at Lost Pines when this thing was just a pavilion? But, all right, you. All right, I'm gonna take off. Is that all right? 1979. So 1979, this facility that we're in now didn't have any walls, didn't have any air conditioning. It was a little small, right? I was too. Have you seen any improvements from 1979 to today? All right. Are you happy with some of those improvements? Absolutely. Well, we are committed. You know, I tell folks every year that I feel this strongly. If you pay attention to your camps as a council, you're paying attention to your cardiac system. If you don't, there's a heart attack on its way. And so there's a lot. I will never show up on any of our properties and have anybody wake up there and go, John, things are perfect here. You don't need to fix a thing. You don't need any new improvements. There's always stuff to fix. There's always stuff to do. We're blessed to be able to distribute out a strong amount of funds on an annual basis for maintenance and repair that comes from our endowment that's specifically focused towards building. But we have some dreams past that. Here immediately at Lost Pines, our next big improvement will be the ranges. So we're going to completely overhaul the shooting sports range as it is today. Anybody been out there that we wish that we had a restroom out there? Anybody? If you're out there, the closest restroom is pretty far back. It's bigger. It's a bit of a run. Part of that improvement will be a restroom. It'll be three improved ranges. It'll double the capacity of what we can have with scouts shooting. We'll also have an action rifle deal where scouts can experience other things other than 22s. And it will be hopefully it'll be construction will not interfere with either winter camp or summer camp. But that would be a huge addition for us here. That would really, and with that and the pool and the climbing tower. And some of the other improvements, we really have made a nice investment. I hope you like the pavilions and the campsites. I know that you probably would like some electrical outlets from there and a little more power for fans. So we realize that the council's talking about that. That's on the list of things to bring on. How are we doing on them? To get off of that, I'll talk about those things. My standing joke, if you've got 100,000, you can name any of them and give it to me. You can name any of the bathhouses that we have here after anybody you want. You don't necessarily have to name it after yourself. But seriously, if you only want to do one stall, we can talk about a deal, but you can't call it the jumper. That's just off limits. But we do have some visions of some other capital improvement projects that we want here. And if you do know somebody that would be interested in, or you've got a contact with a company or a foundation that might be interested in helping us serve our scouts better, we have a vision of a new dining hall, and that's there that can expand this, but also bring the kitchen back to the dining hall. It's a bit of. It causes us a bit of an issue by having to transport the food. There's some things that we can't do. And there's just nothing like walking into a place that's just cooked fresh bread. So we've got a dining hall picture there. We're not going to get rid of this building. We like this building. It's functional. So we would change this building into a STEM building. Then we've also got a vision for staff showers and a staff meeting room. Yay! The staff is very high on that, which means I'm very high on that. We love our staff. And then finally, we've got a welcome center that we want to change where the entrance is to the camp and make sure that the folks that are coming to our camp feel welcome and gives place for our camp masters and other camp volunteers a place to stay. So those are kind of the vision projects we've got. In addition to the range here, anybody been to Great Dixon? One that we have in Gonzales? Anybody been there? It's like that one. It's a good camp. We're going to add a shooting sports range there. It's going to be. It will really help us with camp reefs and other events for districts. It'll be very convenient. The camp is located between Shiner and Gonzales, and it's got a huge learning pavilion there. That's where we have been doing our National Youth Leadership Training courses until we had a water issue. Anybody care to guess just how deep the water well is at Gonzales? EJ, what is it?
22 feet. 12.
From 22 feet. Well, that well dried up last year. There's a lot of activity going on with the oil and gas in that area, and we were deeply affected by that. So the new range will also include a well that's going 350 feet, and will be will also then be tied into a public water supply system, which will then be which will help us with our water out at Green Dixon. So that's our next plan with Green Dixon. So if you like that camp or you need a place to camp in the springtime around the Texas History Months, that's a great camp that you can go to. Woody Rivers is a camp we've got not too far from here, not too far from Smithville. You only go there if your troop likes wilderness camping. Is that like Anooj? Anooj has been out there. There's one shack that is supposed to be a two-bit latrine that I don't think anybody has used in the last century. But it's a great wilderness style camp. Troops that go out there will camp out of the campsites that are adjacent to the road, and then the scouts can hike back past the lake and do some camping back there. It's a great place to do wilderness camping.
Pretty fun.
And it's a very pretty time. We also got Allen McHenry, which is another place that some of our districts do camporees. That's closer to Giddings. And then we've got Smiling Bee, which is the one that PJ is supposed to be living at. He lives here during the summertime more than he probably cares to be living here. But he does have a house out at Smiling Bee in Libertyville. And that camp's got some night. You're also associated with the Cup Pack. It's a great place for Cup Pack camping as well as district camporees and We Blow Woods and We Blow Through Your Best events. And it's a prize jewel for us. We're really fortunate to have it. What did I miss, DJ? Properties map. So Griffith League is a 5,000 piece of acres that we have. It's about from a stone's throw from here. It doesn't have a lot on it other than the opportunity to hike around in 5,000 acres here in Bastrop County and get lost.
Oh, no course.
What you said?
Yeah, of course.
It does have a coat course. There's my climbing director, and a pavilion by that coat course. So if you're interested in doing some backpacking or in a coat experience, I know we've also added some coat elements here. Anybody like the new coat elements we have here? Anybody like those? Anybody done them? Yeah. They're good. The vision behind that was to, right now, the only coat course we had was way away, no scouts saw. We want your younger scouts to look at that. Scouts doing the coat course go, I want to do that someday. I want to come back. That's the reason why we invested in that stuff. So, John Graff, I know you're there. Are you here? There you are. John, what keeps me up at night?
Yeah, I'm going to have kids get direct on TV right on.
There's your HTV director.
Probably if I was in your position, probably finance.
What'd you say?
I would say finance.
Oh no, your first topic was much better. Safety is probably at the forefront of what keeps me up at night. And it's a different day here in the Boy Scouts. There were 3 accidents on the climbing tower across the nation, plus near incidents that were happening too regularly. And for the first time ever, about 2 weeks ago, I get an email that says, you're going to, in the next week, have a stand down with your climbing staff. You're going to include your climbing committee, and you're going to make sure that your camp is following the policies that will keep our scouts safe. There were clearly several themes that had happened over the course of those 3 accidents that occurred. Not a second delay, not comfortable with the equipment, etc. That they decided, imagine, to just shut the whole climbing hill down and make sure that you took some time to visit over those rules. Then shortly after that, they didn't give us a lot of information about what those accidents were. A week later, there was another stand down meeting with everybody in the nation, all the climbing directors. I know our climbing director participated, where they actually went through the incidents step by step and talked about what occurred. I applaud the movement for doing that. We have to show our scouts, our parents, and our community that safety is number one. And the number one issue that revolves around youth protection that I get on my desk through bullying. And typically when it hits my desk, it's already a hand grenade. It's already, the pin's already out. Someone's handing it to me and it's going to blow up in about 4 seconds. We're successful at tackling bullying situations normally when we can get to it as it's occurring and solve it right there. By the time it gets to my desk, it's already boiled over. Everybody's upset, and it's a huge issue. It'll tear a unit up. It'll tear a counselor. Kuruvila, myself, Anooj probably spent 4 weeks total time on one issue just with one unit. So it's one that we need your help with to make sure that our scouts feel welcome wherever they're at. They don't feel ostracized. The only other safety topic I want to mention briefly is the youth protection training. I know everybody here is current. If you're on property, you've already had your youth protection training checked, and you have had that course in the last few years. It's the one statistic, whether you like it or not, that our outside community looks at and say, are you any different than you were in the 70s and 60s when kids were getting taken advantage of by some predators? It's the one statistic that they look at. Now we start off our council. I know San Antonio is here, and I know y'all have a different set of rules. Like you're 100% trained because you train everything. The capillary council has approached it slightly differently. Each council has their own opportunity to do it. I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but we started 100%, and then we start sliding down because as people's 2-year tenure starts to eclipse, our statistic dropped last year from 100% down to 87. I'm not used to getting unsatisfactory reviews on any item, but that was unsatisfactory in our region. We've got to do a better job of making sure that our adults that are working with our youth are current in youth protection training. You can help me as a unit leader if you're in capillary council by monitoring your unit, helping me make sure that you've got an adult leader that's registered and active. It's going to be hard to get your assistant scout master that will stop being assistant scout master protection training just for the sake of taking the training, so we have one more +1. But you can let our registrar know that that person's no longer active, and we can suspend their registration so they're no longer being counted against the council or the unit. But if they are an active leader, we're asking you to help us make sure that we set the culture that if you're a leader, you've taken youth protection training in the last 2 years. That way I'm comfortable at least knowing I can go to sleep a little bit better at night, knowing that the adults that we have on site with our scouts know what the rules are and had them over and over again. Many of you, like me, have had the course 30 or 40 times. But there's always new wrinkles. Every year they've ratcheted up the training just a little bit. They've added a new protection for the kids. The last one that I remember is the age separation, no 2-year separation, a 2-year separation, no more than a 2-year separation in a pen. And that's where, quite honestly, a lot of the horseplay can happen is if you've got a 16-year-old and an 11-year-old in the same pen. So I think that rule is a very good rule. Let's get protection training. All right, now I'll get to the fun stuff and the reason why I'm here. Get some feedback. How's the food? All right, I'm gonna poke into that. How's the salad bar? Anybody like the salad bar? Yeah. Man, I can't tell you how excited I was when I walked into the walk-in refrigerator here at camp. We must have one of the world's largest walk-in refrigerators at any scout camp. And saw all the color on one of the walls, and knowing that I was headed for a salad bar. I hope that's good. I think we do a yogurt part in the morning. Is that popular? Oh, yeah. Do we have none? Or do we run in? It's good. All right. Food's good? Yeah. I listened to the commissary director, our lead person for the police, also the lead person for the Bastrop High School, I think, in food service there. And she said, John, you know what my goal is? I know what these kids have eaten for 9 months. I want them to have something different when they come to Kings. So she's tried to mix the menu up so that your scouts aren't getting what they've seen day after day at school. And I think she's getting them. I know that I had at least one, vegetarian go through. I know we probably also have some gluten-free and other dietary restrictions. How are we doing on that? Good? All right, that's awesome. And I know that's really important for us to listen. So food service we've been getting really good reviews. I'm sensing that this week that's also good. How are we doing on ice? Yes, yes, sir.
Would you please contact Alan Gray? Have them do that for us, so that we appreciate that.
All right. We don't mind trying to be the standard bearer on that. But we are really, I am really focused on the food side. We did not get as good scores last year. And we feel like we're hitting the mark this year. But it can go up and down, as many of you leaders know. How are we doing on ice? We're keeping everybody cool. Got the water, there's ice in the water beaker. You're getting enough ice in your campsites? No? If you bought it. After you run out your 5, we still have ice for you. We're not running out. Okay. Good. Anything that you see facilities wise or program wise we can improve on? Feedback's a gift. I'll take one suggestion. You want to train? All right. We're going to get wrong. We'll have that.
I'm not that,
Yeah. As long as you raise the money for that and we're not having to pay for it, we're good. All right. I get that. Anything else?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Drinking fountains in the near the bathrooms.
Okay.
Near the campsite.
I agree. I also have gotten, and hopefully we still have, some of the porta potty got here, the first week I got here this summer, the concern was, we got scouts that just want to use the restroom and they're having to wait for all people to take a shower. When we do our next design of our next bathhouse, we're gonna add just rooms that just have a restroom stall and sink, not a full shower sink and forward. Yes, sir.
Another suggestion in the shooting range,
Yes, sir.
there's no shade. You're waiting, but I don't know if it was.
The new range is gonna take care of a lot of shade problems. That will take a huge load off of it. All right, let's talk about staff. Any staff you like, any staff are doing an extraordinary job of customer service that you want to compliment. We use this as an opportunity to recognize our staff. Yes, sir.
I personally want to acknowledge Bubbles. We're taking the lifeguard course. And I'll tell you what, I have the utmost respect for anybody that is working around the pool. It was a huge wake up call. One of the first things that we did where we had to, bring them back to it, I actually cleaned down and I got a gulp of that water and I thought, oh my God, that's a wake up call. I've never felt that. And it was a good wake up call because, like he said, sometimes people are like, oh, it's lifeguards, just chilling there. No, it's a huge responsibility. And then just going through some of the scenarios that he's done with us just makes it feel so realistic that it's almost fearful. And I think that's a good thing. So I just want to acknowledge your enthusiasm and the way you teach. He's an amazing teacher. I appreciate it.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, okay. That's gotta be the hottest job in the movement right now. It's Lost Pines blacksmith. One year we actually taught, they had a crazy scout executive named Jon Yates and said, hey, let me add welding to it. And I didn't quite realize that being a staff person and teaching welding here at Lost Pines on the outside was absolutely insane. But the blacksmith operation here is great, and I will make sure that you're recognizing we are really fortunate to have what we had. I don't talk bad about any other camp, but when I was taking metal work class, it was not this full out blacksmith. It was cutting tin, pounding, lots of hammering. That was it. I really feel like what we offer here is outstanding. Anybody else? How's the camp host?
Good, Iowa. Good.
Can you stand up so we can write though? We love you, boys.
You've got great talent here. People know their stuff.
The person that's doing that though is that lady right there. I'm sure the staff will tell you that they're coming back because she's coming back, and they love her. Tony, thanks for what you did. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Matt and Aiden have really made our Yates be a whole year. For some of them, it's their first year.
Is he your camp host?
Yes.
Awesome.
And they both, they just kind of pick up the kids and say, hey, it's gonna be so crazy. And he goes, you're crazy with kids and creating memories.
I love hearing that. That to me is the magic of thing is that is the staff and staff interacting. You know, I've seen staffs that don't, where the staffs are only interacting with the staff. But I love hearing what you said. Thank you for sharing. Tony, did you get all that? If you got anybody else that you want to recognize, Tony and I are just stay after. Okay. You're going to get an evaluation at the end of the week. Obviously, we want to know if you've got a concern ahead. We don't want to find out that there was something that we could have done on Wednesday that could have made your experience better. And yet now you're upset because we didn't deal with it until Friday when we found out about it. There's a lot of people that read those evaluations. I get emails from units after the fact that gives me, hey, we forgot about telling you about this. We treat feedback as a gift. And there's not just the staff that's looking at those evaluations, there's our council committee. So you've got several council committee chairs that are here, our training chair from the council. We've got a very active aquatics, climbing, Addison. We've got a lot of our outdoor committees that are very actively supporting this camp. They all read that feedback too, because we want to make sure we're not satisfied with where we're at. We want to be better. And we want to be better week by week and summer by summer. I'm going to end by again starting. I've got a couple things I know. I've got one more announcement I have to make. I'll get in trouble. Yes, Billy?
I want to thank the adults. They've stepped up and volunteering for the climbing tower, for shooting sports, wherever we need them, they can help me.
All right, just thank you to all of you. That's the, you know, I'm a nature director. I was on the nature staff my very first year, and I didn't. They hired me. I probably wasn't the most qualified to teach nature and geology America. But the very first week, week one, I had a geologist from the University of Texas that taught geology at the University of Texas that shared with me a lot and got me prepared. And I found that there was lots of other resources that helped me along my journey to make me a better instructor. So if you're helping out making this camp better, thank you. To quote really well, to give you one small token of thanks,